Dr. Jazz.
Hey guys,
Dr.
Samo here.
Jazz.
Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye. But thanks for finding the time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Really love the new record, by the way. Stars. Uh,
Thank you.
so good. It's like, ah. No,
I
seriously.
like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's like
Yeah.
how to describe a record. It's just like, yeah. It's not, it's no 11/4 with augmented strange chords. It's just like you put on the first track, and I love it because it's just like,
You can
whoa.
let yourself
Yeah, the
fall into
passing
it,
thoughts.
right?
I mean, that one, I love that. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
finally some music. And I wanted to ask you, like, how did this one happen? And I know you had a long relationship with Matt Wilson. You've played on his records. I mean, and but what about Kenny Barron? I love Kenny. I'm such a huge fan. And how did this record happen, actually? And
Okay, I think I first have to start with the gentleman who actually owns the label, Elon.
yeah,
Uh, so I came to it'll be this year marks my 30th anniversary of moving over here, and I came over here as a grad student with a grant from the German government, and through the great bassist Mike Richmond, I ended up coming to NYU when nobody really knew that NYU did have a jazz program, but there were fantastic teachers there. It's just a very small program, and right the second semester that I was a grad student there, I started teaching, and I've
well,
never stopped. So I'm still on the faculty, and I think if a few years into me being a teacher there, Elon, who's a wonderful pianist by himself, studied with Frank Kimbrough, and apparently I was sitting in his senior recital as an adjudicator. So we've been in touch ever since. And a few years ago, I approached him, and because he always would ask for my latest releases, and he would I mean, I knew that he would actually be listening to whatever I would send him. And I said, I have this dream. I would love to one day do a recording with Kenny Barron.
okay,
Um, and he said, "Well, I'll keep it in mind." And then, well, now it would be probably a couple of years ago, out of the blue, he reached out to me. He said, "Well, would you still want to do this album with Kenny Barron?" I'm like, "You better believe it." And so that was Kenny. And how did I find out about Kenny? Well, how can you not find out about
yeah, yeah,
Kenny
of
when
course,
you love this music? And I remember being I was one of the founding members of the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, the Bujazzo in Germany, and we were all about 20 years old, and everybody was like, "Hey, do you know this recording? Do you that? You have to listen to this." And one of my peers there told me about Kenny Barron's album called Scratch, which he recorded in the 80s for Anja Records with Dave Holland and uh, Swing and Daniel Homer on drums.
wow, really, I have to
And
find this one.
yeah, yeah. And uh, and I just that was the first thing the first recording that I heard long before his albums with Stan Getz
Yeah,
and so many others. And since then I've been a huge fan, and it was kind of one of my goals in '96 when I moved to New York, that my my goals, my dreams, my aspirations to play with them and record with them. And it was
hmm
not the first time that we played. We got to play maybe 10, 12 years ago at the Stanford Jazz Camp out in California. But that was that was a teaser. There was maybe a couple of concerts. I think we did a trio concert with Wycliffe Gordon, which was fantastic.
Wow, beautiful, man.
Just bass, piano, and
Trombone.
trombone. So that was, I that was him. And talking about the other two members of this group, um, I I want to say that Matt Wilson is probably the most important musician that I met since moving to New York. I mean, for me
Hmm.
personally, it was and how because um, he believed that I belong in New York before I did, or him believing in me helped me to believe that I belong here. Just by the way he embraced everything that I offered, and
Hmm.
so we've in the course of our, we've become really close friends. Our families know each other. Our children have known each other since birth, and we still play all the time. I mean, there's no other musician that I've spent more time
Hmm.
off and on the bandstand with over the last 30 years. And we have something. Uh, is it the week? Well, actually, this coming weekend we'll be together in Durham, North Carolina, with Ilan Mailer's septet, which also features Ben Monder and
Oh, wow.
Scott Robinson, Lawrence Schoenberg. It's a seven-piece group. And the week after that, we'll be at Birdland with Anat Cohen's quartet for
Ah,
5 nights. So it's always amazing playing music with him.
beautiful.
Anat joined the club. I want to say about 15 years ago. I used to be a regular at a festival at the Mohonk Mountain House, which is a five-star resort hotel in the Catskills, about an hour and a half
Hmm.
from New York City. And the gentleman who curated that festival, his name was Michael Bourne, who was one of the the two main DJs at
Oh, yeah,
WBGO.
of course. I know Michael. Yeah.
Yeah,
He,
it was it
he
was
used
it
to
would
have.
be Gary Walker in the morning. He's still there, and Michael Bourne. He did Singers Unlimited, which was I think the most popular show on that station. So Michael would just put throw musicians together and say, you guys gonna play a set, and he put Matt and myself up there together with Anat,
Hmm.
and it was so great that we for a while we played concerts. We actually did a week at the Village Vanguard, which Anat decided to have recorded, and then during that week, Matt's first wife passed away, and then he couldn't play, he couldn't finish the week, and it just didn't feel right to do anything with the material. And
Sure.
but we always loved playing with each other, and I thought, thinking about who to record with Kenny, I thought that I didn't want to do a trio because he has his own trio. I didn't really want to do a typical quartet with tenor saxophone. And I kind of right away I thought of Anat and Matt, and we were all really excited about it, and it felt as natural
Hmm.
as I think it sounds on the recording.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
There it is.
There it is. It sounds really
Yeah.
natural.
Mm.
It's like no, it sounds like you have nothing to prove, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just like,
nobody did.
yeah, people
Nobody
getting
did.
together,
Yeah.
just play really
Yeah.
nice music. And you wrote really nice tunes also, like the melodies are beautiful. And did you write
I'm
specifically for an art and for this band, or was it some music that was lying around and you picked it up? Or
it was these were, let's see, it's live.
Life is
And
beautiful, yeah.
yeah, that no, I actually, I have to admit, I did not really write anything specifically for this recording, but obviously I picked the material thinking about these particular musicians and the kind of mood that I was going for. And I always thought the first time I recorded live was with my very first quartet recording with Scott Robinson, Bill Cunliffe on piano,
Yeah,
and my
yeah, I know
friend
that one.
Tip. Yeah, and I think it's the second track on that, and it has a whole that tune has a whole second very different part, kind of like there's life is there. There's not just one, and it's not always just good. Life is you go through uh, you go through challenges and different periods. But I always loved that first section so much that I thought, I really want to re-record that, and I heard Anat's sound, and
Hmm.
I heard Kenny's lush chords and all that. So that's that one. Then we recorded "Standing at the Window," which is it's a tune that we've been playing with the trio, just with Anat and Matt.
Mm.
So I thought it would be a natural choice to and I mean with everything, the way Kenny just just fit in there. I mean it really was it was so easy. It was so effortless and natural, and that he has a sound that's so easy to blend with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So and what's the third one? Oh, Moody, which by the
Oh,
way, somebody who wrote a review of the album thought that it was a tribute to James Moody,
James
and it
Moody.
was
Yeah.
not. It was not. It was it was dedicated to somebody else close to me, and yeah, and I the only time that I recorded that one was with a large ensemble at the Jazz Baltica Festival, and I was put in charge of writing and conducting the Jazz Baltic Ensemble when the festival celebrated, I think, its 20th anniversary.
Mm.
And again, I mean, the nucleus of the sound the that particular tune, I really liked so much, and I wanted to open it up for Matt to just paint. You know, we're just pretty much playing the melody three times, and and
He has
have
like a
him
carte blanche, yeah,
because
kind of.
yeah, I mean, because that's one of the amazing things that he does is he can tip, but he can also play so beautifully in a free setting.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, those are the three, and I'm about my writing or my compositional style. I'm just in that sense, I think I'm very old fashioned
You're
because
you're all about the melody, right? I
it's
remember
all about the
I have
melody.
one
Yeah,
CD of yours on Challenge, that one of the first trios with Tender Waves. There's one tune there with Bill Mace and Keith Copeland. I think it's Tender Waves. Might be wrong.
man,
Is it?
you did your homework.
I have CDs. I have like 4,000 CDs, man. It's and
Okay.
I have three actual CDs by you, and
Hmm.
I really like the tune. This is like must have been like 20 years ago when I bought it, or even longer. And you kind of have this style, which is like you said, traditional in a sense, but it's all about
Yeah.
the melody, and I like that it's the melodies
Well,
are so strong, right?
I think it's one of the hardest things to do,
Yes.
really, to write a good melody that sounds doesn't sound like you've heard it before, that is simple in a way, but not cheesy or trivial. It's I think it's much more difficult than writing a complex. What you just said,
Yes,
in
I agree.
11/4, and it sounds like it was written, holding a calculator in your hand or whatever.
True.
So and I think it also has to do with my classical background. I mean, I have a degree as an orchestra musician. To this day, I listen to at least as much classical music as
Mm.
I do to jazz, and I, I'm the roots of the great German composers, but also
Yep.
a lot of Russian composers. Uh, it's there. Like Tchaikovsky was one of the great melody composers of all
Absolutely.
time. And yeah, and so that's where I'm at.
Where did the jazz thing come? I mean, you said you basically started with classical. When did the jazz thing happen for you? Like,
Well, I it actually did happen a little before the classic thing, but I was very fortunate that at my high school we had a really good music program, and when I was 15, I was recruited to play electric bass in the high school big band, and until then I just played nylon string guitar, regular six string,
oh, interesting.
and which was not really a good match because I was not really motivated. My father had to remind me to put my 30 minutes in every day, and then out of the blue, I mean, the band director asked me, the electric bassist wanted to play clarinet again, and the position opened up, and I said, sure, I'm not going to be a bassist, but yeah, and then I did this for about a year and a half. I took lessons with a classical bassist in the orchestra of my hometown Flensburg. He was actually from the United States. He kind of got stuck in Germany after he completed his military service. So he was kind of bugging me that I should pick up a real instrument. And then we also had a small band, small group within the big band. It was the pianist, the drummer, and the baritone saxophonist playing Charlie Parker tunes,
Mm.
but he didn't want to play with electric bass. So so there was, and so when I was 17, I picked up the upright. I started playing with that small group, and I, after 2 or 3 months of playing the upright, I started playing the orchestra. So for me, you can really say kind of it started all at the same time, and it was always uh, beyond past categories for me because I was just playing music with my
Yeah,
friends at that time.
yeah, very natural. Then it happened, right? In a sense.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very thankful, and uh, I learned so much from my classical studies that I benefit from every day in my life as a mostly really a jazz musician, but also the other way around. So, and I'm very fortunate that I still have all of that, all of those worlds uh, to to roam around in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How did Tender Waves and Gone with the Wind happen? Because this was prior to you moving to New York, right?
Yeah.
And you connected
Uh,
with the Bill Mays and the great Keith
Keith
Copeland.
Copeland. Yeah.
That's a beautiful trio, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I was very very fortunate that happened. All of that happened kind of in the early '90s when I was still living in Cologne. I was still a student, and I let me see. So there were other mentors before Bill Mays, who was huge and
Mm,
still is. I mean, he's like my he's not my brother. He's 82 years old, but
still playing, yeah.
I just saw him a couple of weeks ago in Florida. Uh, but before I met him, I got to work with a couple of piano players. One of them was Lex Jasper. He's still around. He's in Holland. Great arranger, great pianist. Uh, and from Cologne, as within a couple of hours, you're in
Yeah.
Amsterdam, but also in Antwerp. And I got introduced to another great pianist. His name was Jack Van Paul. Uh, so after a while, I was over there all the time, playing with Jack a lot. And let's see, we had a gig at the North Sea Jazz Festival. I think it was in '91
Wow.
with him, his Hans van Oosterhout, wonderful Dutch drummer who unfortunately just passed away at the end of last year, and Sylvia Droste, who at that time was the German jazz singer. And Bill Mays was playing at the festival with Ray Drummond, who we also
Ooh,
just lost.
yeah.
And he heard me there, we did not meet, but he was asked to play a tour in Germany with a trombonist from Hamburg, an American, Jerry Tillotz. And he said, you know what, I just heard this young German bass player at the North Sea Jazz Festival. Why don't you see if he's available for the tour? And I was. So that's really when
Beautiful.
things started. And then the next year already we we started playing in Germany just with a trio. And Keith Copeland had just moved to Germany to take on a professorship in Cologne. I actually played with him when he auditioned for the position. And so that was when we started playing with that group. And Jack von Paul at that time owned a small label called September Records, funny enough. And he made it possible that I record my first album as a leader with two veteran
Yeah.
American jazz musicians. That was an amazing break, really. And then the next year, or maybe 2 years ago, 2 years later, we did Tender Waves.
Anyways, yeah.
So for a while, that that my relationship with Bill Mays was only happening in Europe. He would come over, but in '95 he invited me over to the States. We played a week at the Knickerbocker. I don't know if you know that place,
No,
bar
I
and
don't remember
grill.
that one.
And because I wanted to come over to see if I could, if New York was right for me, and I stayed for 5 weeks. Because you don't get a feel for a place like New York look just after a week or two.
Absolutely.
Uh, Interesting anecdote. I came on September 1st of 1995. The second day that I was here, I met my future wife through Bill's wife at the time. They were both working. They were both colleagues at New York Hospital, and she said, we have a visitor from Germany. You want to join us? And here we
Wow.
go. We're 27 years married now.
It's meant to be.
It was meant to be. Yeah. And since then, I moved over here and have been playing with Bill Mays, recorded with him
Yeah, yeah, I know.
extensively,
Yeah, yeah.
and him and his wife Judy are closest friends. We named our second son. His middle name is William after Bill, so we're all family, and Matt is part of that, and Anat is part of that, and there's nothing like establishing those kind of relationships and
Yep.
experiencing what it's like to play music with people that you're that close with. I mean, the amount of trust. Uh, it's there's nothing greater on this planet. There
True.
might be on another planet, but this is really as good as it gets.
Yeah, your trio with Bill and Matt on drums, man. When you
Yeah.
guys do it, it's like the
Oh,
Palmetto Records, those ones, the
I
albums.
know. Summer
Yeah,
sketches,
Summer Sketches. That's so
going
good, man.
home, the live recording we did.
It's really good. I mean, it's like, uh, how was it like for you when you came then to New York? Because it's quite a shock coming from Germany, from okay, Flensburg via Cologne. Cologne is already has been for years like the German, beside Berlin, jazz capital, but still like the transition to going to New York. I think it's quite brutal in a sense. How was that like for you?
While it was the only element that was brutal maybe at the beginning was the financial aspect of it. Because I had the scholarship, but it kind of took care of the tuition, and then you still have to kind of survive. But other than that, and that was just I remember it was actually a February of '97 where I didn't know how to pay for my subway fare to go to school. But but other than that, I have to say it went pretty well for me. First of all, I knew a lot of people already when I moved there
Okay, that
because I
helps.
I had been playing with a lot of American musicians in Europe, and not only Bill Mays. Um, I was in school, so there was structure there. It really helped me. I was also not 21 years old anymore when I went over there. So I, I knew I could, I had studied classical bass for many, many years. I, I knew that I could play the instrument. It was really more about other aspects that I felt that I wanted to get better at. But the structure was important. Um, and then, I also had this, I mean, I was in a relationship, and when so I wasn't only there because of the music.
Yes,
I think
that
that was
helps.
huge
Yeah.
after a while. And then you also build a different social network
Yeah.
away from the music, So, and I was going back and forth, which I'm still doing, about 3, 4 times a year. I go to Europe and play and visit my folks and reconnect with friends. I don't know. I mean, I and also I'm when I moved to New York, I had no expectations. Which is, I think, also important. I thought, well, there's only one way of finding out whether it's right for you or not. If you find that after a month or two or three, you're just not finding a groove, you go back.
Yeah.
That the German or European scene was always going to be there for me. And so I think because of, all those factors were important. And then I started working pretty quickly too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Did you
that.
immediately start getting gigs? I mean, like, who were the
Pretty
first gigs you
quickly,
got?
pretty quickly, because when I in my there were some guys, some young players in the program at NYU. I I can think of one pianist. He was actually German Canadian. His name is Johannes Wallmann, who had a regular
Mhm.
gig
Sure.
at what was it called? It was one of those new fancy restaurants right on Union Square, where you played for 6 hours, and the crowd would be dining, but like screaming at each other. I mean, the noise level was unbelievable, and so we could play whatever we wanted. I learned so many tunes there, and it was, $100 and a meal, and we're talking about 30 years ago.
Wow, that's
A lot of gigs don't
still
pay
pay a
more
hundred
than that.
bucks.
I know,
Exactly. I know.
I know. So yeah, and and then my relationship with Bill Mays, he would recommend me for things. I started working with a couple of singers, and so yeah, I was very fortunate, but I I was also dedicated and ready.
And you had the skills already. Like, basically you didn't come
A
like
lot of
as,
them,
yeah,
I needed to learn more tunes. I think I know that my groove got a lot deeper since I moved here. How could you not, playing with all those amazing drummers? Um, I felt that I needed to be better, my hearing,
yep,
really getting into all the intricate stuff that the different piano players would do and tunes a lot. But yeah, but I had a lot of the skill set
yeah.
that
That's
that
so important. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, makes it easier than just come in as a total beginner and have to learn all this stuff and still,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it
I
makes,
see it because I'm, most the kids that I'm teaching at NYU, they come and some of them are 19, 20 years old. And if they get overwhelmed, I can absolutely sympathize.
yeah,
I mean, you have to deal with getting your music together, your instrument together, and then you're looking at this, my good, I mean, this massive scene with all those musicians, and everybody's trying to get into the better clubs and
yeah.
play with the established guys, and yeah,
It's quite scary. Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
I remember Drew told me, Drew Grass, he
yeah.
said like when he came in the 80s to New York, like he started playing around and then one piano player said like, I really like you. And he wrote his name in his black book under the bassists, and Drew put his number there, and he said like above that number were like contacts of, Mark Johnson, Eddie Gomez, and he was like, dude, I mean, it's impossible. It's like, who's gonna call me if you have like Eddie Gomez there and Mark Johnson? But if you're good, then eventually, and lucky it happens, I guess, no? And
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, you.
it's
I mean, all of these people that you mentioned, it's great when you find yourself becoming friends with those and colleagues, and then of course I'm still fans of all those people. But yeah, I mean, John Petitucci,
yeah, yeah. I mean, the
Rob
list goes on.
Carter,
Yeah,
uh,
it's
Bob
scary, man.
Cranshaw. I mean, the list. Rufus Reed, who's my neighbor and my friend. Yeah, I mean, we fortunately we're all working. Bass players are working,
Yes,
so and bass players usually get along with each other. And no, they're really, you know, one musician who heard actually was she heard me with Matt and Anat when we played that week at the Vanguard. She afterwards we spoke and she said, you know what, you're like the friendly bus driver that just makes sure that everybody's comfortable, that you don't start until you look check in the mirror that everybody's sitting, and you wait for that person that's a little late at the bus. You just and I think that's just beautiful.
that's a
That's
great
terrific.
compliment. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah, and a great observation,
yeah.
really.
Especially as a bass player, that's so important. Ron
Yeah,
Carter always had that since you mentioned him. Like, and
yeah.
he's Ron Carter, so
He had everybody's back, and
yeah,
and
exactly.
everybody trusted him, and
Yeah,
still does.
still does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, how did your story with Philippe Catherine begin? He's one of my favorite guitarists, and I still believe one of the most underrated guitarists. Actually, like, should be mentioned more. And you did
Yeah.
that beautiful album from her Act, which I have, the New Folks. And
Yeah.
how did that start with?
Well, it started, you're touching on a lot of really uh, important chapters in my life. I mentioned my very first teacher who was played in the orchestra, and
Mhm.
who was from the United States originally, and he was a jazz fan. And he would give me cassette tapes of yeah, you remember those.
Hmm.
And and the one that the first jazz record that really resonated with me, that I really listened to all the time, was Niels Henning Ørsted Petersen's album, the Viking.
Yep,
I don't know if you have it, but
I know it. Yeah.
yeah, it's Niels playing duo with Philippe.
Yep.
So, and I think he gave me that tape when I was about 17 years old. So I've been I was familiar uh, with Philippe's sound for I think 30 years before we got to play. Wait a
Hmm.
second. No, we've been playing for quite some time. But at least 30 years, something like that. And I met him a few times because I would go to his concerts when he was playing anywhere near Cologne when I was still living there. And then let me see. I played. There's another guitarist who's actually my best friend, and his name is Ulf Meyer, and I recorded many albums with him.
Mm.
And we played duo in Berlin for, I think it was a birthday gathering for Don Friedman, who also
Sure.
was a really close friend of mine.
I know that.
And Ziggy Loch was there. He was at the concert, and he heard the duo with Ulf and I, and at that time he was planning to release a series of duo recordings of different instrumentations, and he knew Philippe from I think Warner Brothers days when he was still uh, booking and signing big
Yep.
acts, and he's like, well, would you want to do a duo recording with Philippe Catherine? And I'm like, well, something's coming full circle here. And yeah, and so we've been playing. I mean, I think we just played 2 or 3 gigs
Wow.
before we recorded the album in Munich, and we're playing again at the end of the month
Seriously.
in Belgium. Yeah,
Wow.
there's a really nice gig. He was my special guest at Jazz Baltica 2023. We played the opening concert with my Gravity Trio
Yeah, with Jonas, right?
with
And Peter.
Jonas and Peter.
Yeah, I know
Yes,
Peter. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and so now I'm because not only what was the LP Stars released, but on March 6th I have a new album coming out with that group with Peter and Jonas and special guest Scott Robinson. It's
Ooh,
called
I love Scott,
September.
man. Okay.
Yeah, well, what is there not to love? And so we'll be hitting the road on March 19, and the
Beautiful.
last two concerts will be with Philippe in Antwerp.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's been staying at my house here in I brought him over in 17. We played here in the States. Uh, he loves my mother and she loves him. They always hang out and flirt, and it's amazing to be around him and
Yeah.
the great stories and talking about somebody who loves playing melodies. It's
Yes.
just so unbelievably
Like Jim
lyrical
Hall kind
and
of vibe.
yeah, yeah. And you know what you said? He's underrated, but Pat Metheny loves him. John Scofield adores him. I mean, they they
Musicians know him.
know.
Musicians know him.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And in Belgium, of course, now
Oh, he's
since
a
Toots
superstar.
is
Yeah.
gone, he's God. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the most well-known jazz musician now in that country.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. I like that version of Old Folks on the
Yeah,
act
or new
music.
folks.
Yeah, it's so
But
nice, man.
oh, I know. By the way,
It's
I
so
I
beautiful.
did another album with him under my name together with Ak van Rooyen,
Oh shit, I have to find
which
it.
is called White Noise
Oh, wait a second. I'll write it down.
on Leica Records.
Beautiful. I'll check it out. I didn't know.
That yeah, and
Okay.
the last few years, I've been kind of on a mission to uh, make things happen and go through my that sounds not doesn't sound right bucket list. It sounds so cheap because I always wanted to record an album with Ak van Rooyen. I've adored him and since the early days of the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. He's another monster melody player. I was
Flugelhorn, right?
just
And trumpet, I think.
flugelhorn,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Well, he only plays flugelhorn, and he was 89 years old when we did that recording. He did not miss a note. But he knew exactly. He told me towards the end of the session, he's like, Martin, I got I got a few more takes in me. Maybe the next one, no flugelhorn solo. Let me just play the melody in and out, and then and that was it. But it was beautiful,
Mm.
and the combination with him and Philippe was, in the tradition of Chet Baker a
Yeah.
little bit, I guess. But yeah, you just gotta, and now Uck is gone, and you just gotta go for it. There's no more waiting around in the wind house.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. If you get a chance to play and record
Yeah.
and you
Same
know,
with Kenny Barron in a way. I mean, he's in
yeah.
his early 80s now. He still plays great. What would I want to wait for? I mean, I'm so thankful that it was made possible by Elon and Nouveau Records.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you about, we recently lost also Ken Peplowski, right? And you've played with Ken, I think, a lot, and with Scott. Like, how did all these then connections with Scott happen? I mean, I'm such a huge Scott fan, and Ken as well. Like,
Uh, yeah,
playing
Ken,
with Ken
man.
and Scott, basically both of them, that must have been amazing, right?
Yeah, we just kind of played. I would always do every year. I would do a week at Birdland with Ken
Mm.
over Thanksgiving week, and I think we did 5 years in a row. Might
Wow.
have been six. Always with the same band, with Glenn Zaleski on piano, who's fantastic,
Yeah,
and
I
Willie
know, Glenn.
Jones is like one of the swinging drummers of all time. And we did this thing where we would not repeat a single tune, and we would play 10 90-minute sets over the course of the week, so that was a lot of songs,
Ooh,
and there was no rehearsal. So he would just he sometimes he would call things, but he would just put stuff in front of us, and a lot of it because he would go and get original sheet music, I mean from Broadway, the original
the
Broadway
real
sheet
stuff. Yeah.
music. Yeah, and yeah, and he was a friend, and he went through so much hardship the last few years. He had to leave his apartment as a result of divorce, and then COVID hit him really hard because he never had a teaching position. He was always just
Playing.
playing.
Yeah.
Had to sell some horns, and it was really difficult. And then he got diagnosed with blood cancer, and
Gosh.
and he was, I was around him when he was so down, and it was so heartbreaking to see that, and and then as of the last couple of years or so, he got better and he got stronger. He started working a lot again, and it was so beautiful to see and be on stage with him being so strong. So him just not being around anymore after he had kind of a comeback,
Mm.
that was a sucker punch, I have to say. That was it stinks, and it's hard to imagine that we're not going to have those moments together anymore. Now with Scott, uh, Scott lives here in Teaneck. He's Teaneck, New
Ah,
Jersey, right on the
okay.
outskirts. We have the same birthday.
I didn't
He's
know.
a few years older than me. He brews his own beer, and I'm German, so there are a lot of things that connect us, and really I have to say he's been the voice of my music for many many years.
Yeah.
I think we started playing. I started maybe 2008 or 2009 that I had started my quartet with him. He was kind of the centerpiece, and have traveled so much and recorded so much, and he's on a lot of my albums, and now I've been in his group with
That's so
Helen
great.
Sung and Dennis
Yeah.
Dennis McCrell for some time, and we see each other socially. We come over, do we have cookouts, and there's only one Scott Robinson on this planet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just uh, he 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 transformed his two-car garage into his rehearsal and recording space,
He
which he
showed me that.
calls.
Yeah.
Oh, you were there?
No, just we did this talk and
Oh, the laboratory.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he showed me like everything, man.
yeah,
Incredible.
yeah. I
Incredible.
mean, yeah, and he's in there all night long until 4 or 5 o'clock, practicing, recording. He's got so many projects happening. He's been working on. Did he tell you about the symphony that he's been writing?
No, no.
Yeah, uh, an improvised symphony where he plays up to 90 instruments or sounds, and every day he goes back and listens and decides what needs. So he's not there's no forward thinking, there's no composition. It's
Oh
an
yeah, yeah.
improvised.
He started
Yeah,
that when we did this talk. That must have been a couple of years ago.
yeah. He
Or,
has, I
or,
think
or
he has about 3 minutes together by now. And he thinks that he's going to be working for another 15 to 20 years, hopefully. But wait, who would do something like that?
he's a creative guy. Yeah.
Right?
Such a cool guy. Yeah.
And and just to and you really learn to appreciate somebody's musicianship when you play a tour, and every night you're playing the same material, and you see how they're dealing with that, and a lot of us, you know we find out that something really works well on any given tune,
Yeah.
and then you stick with it, and you ride that as long as you can. And he would do the total opposite. I did that, yeah, that went well. Well, let me go the total opposite then,
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so in the moment, and just amazing to play with.
Yeah. He's such a great player, man. I really like his stuff.
Oh,
Like
I mean, he's
with
got a
Maria Schneider
beautiful
and everyone,
sound.
and
Oh
it's
yeah, and his sound
So
on
good.
no matter which horn he picks up, the
Yeah,
the tenor, of course, and trumpet and clarinet. He's a beautiful clarinet player, and uh, now he's working on an all Taragato album,
really.
the Hungarian
Yeah,
folk
yeah.
instrument. Yeah, he found somebody who he's been building him like alto, tenor, bass, like the whole family.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
He's
so
still creative. Yeah,
that's
amazing,
God.
man. Yeah. Martin, not to take too much of your time, I just wanted to ask you one thing about John Abercrombie. I know,
Uh-huh.
I have that album as well, Dry Clunk. And
Yeah.
what was your story with John? Did you play more with him, or did you just do that record because I've been such a huge fan?
You know, we we did the recording and
Hmm.
we all went out to his house and played through some of the material. Unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get to play more, but
Okay.
I was a huge fan too. I think, uh, well, I'm a huge Mark Johnson fan,
Ah, yeah.
uh, and you know, Mark obviously is like what an amazing career and playing with Bill Evans and Stan Getz, but uh, those recordings that he did with John Abercrombie and Peter
Yeah.
Erskine are there. There's a live recording from Boston where they play Stella by Starlight.
I know that version.
You know how many times I had to listen to that to kind of get an idea of where in the tune they
Where they
are
are, I know.
because it was so free. And what the stuff that Mark, I mean, and I read interviews about it, and then you know that quote of him saying, "Well, I don't really, I think more of, in terms of counterpoint. You know, yes, he was kind of playing a lot of the roots, but then they're not always. And so these are, you know, little things that you pick up that really leave a mark and have an impact on how you think about music. You know, if they
Yeah,
okay, it's guitar trio or it's trio with tenor. There are other possibilities.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Martin, I'll leave you be.
Well, okay, wonderful.
But thanks for
Where
sharing
where
some of this stuff. Appreciate it.
you got it. And how can you do? You're not? Are you getting material from Leica Records by any chance in
No,
Germany?
no, no, no. No, I don't think so. But I'll check
Uh,
on Bandcamp or Spotify maybe if there's that album there, and I'll find it
yeah, March
just to listen to
6th.
it.
March 6th. It'll be
Fantastic.
out.
Beautiful. Looking
Great,
forward.
man. All
Well,
right.
stay strong, Martin. I'll send you a link when this is out, and then we can share it. So
Beautiful. Thanks, man.
you too.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a
Take
fun.
care.
Bye.
Okay.